Welcome to the Call Movement podcast. And today I'm here with Andrea Abbott. She is the CEO of Appcast. Not only that, she's a dear friend to me, and I'm very excited to interview a powerful woman who is very successful and someone who is juggling between a career, managing her household, kids, traveling for work, and finding time for movement. So welcome, and I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited to have you. Is there anything else that you want to tell us?
Well, first, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me on. As Leticia said, I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Appcast. And really, what that means is I have the pleasure of leading a really large team that requires a lot of travel, a lot of demanding work, and a lot of hours at the office, in addition to being a mom, which is my most favorite role, and a wife, and hopefully a good friend, and all the other things. There's a lot going on in life.
You are an amazing friend. She's very inspirational to me. So that's why I'm very excited to have her here. I'm curious, can you share with us what is an average week for you?
Of course. I mean, I'll get that question from people at work and they will say, how do you manage your day? And my answer to them, which I believe is like, we're all doing a lot. Everyone I know is doing a lot. And we're all doing our best to manage all of our responsibilities and the things we love and enjoy. For me, my week is often consumed with a lot of work. I usually work for about 10 hours a day. Usually that's 8 hours in the office. And then I try to put in some bookend work throughout the day. I try to get up a little bit before my family and have some time to myself. I try to always make sure that I have a good half an hour to hour and a half with my son Jackson, try to eat dinner with my family. But part of my job is also a ton of travel, and travel means sacrifice. And one of the things I've learned over and over again in my life is balance is elusive. You have to try to find balance in the situation you're in. Meaning, if I'm on work travel, I try to give myself over to being traveling for work. And that's where I really put my time and energy. And if I'm home, I try to really give as much time as I can to being home and being present and like really giving it all, because this idea of every day can have a perfect balance of all the things you want. I think that has been a big stumbling block for me in years past. It's taken me a while to figure it out, but that's what I try to strive for every week. Do the best that I can in the thing I need to show up for at that moment.
I enjoy that you said when you're present at every single tasks that you are delivering. You're present at your work. You're present when you have to travel and you're back home. You're present for your family. And I love that you were saying it's not perfect. I myself, I don't travel for work, but sometimes I feel very overwhelmed and I don't want to bring work back home. That stops. And now it's time to be present with my family. And I find that extremely difficult, especially for busy days or stressful weeks. How do you manage those days? How do you manage when you're having a stressful week at work? What do you do to say, this stops here and I'm going to be present for my family, regardless of what's going on with work?
That's a great question. I definitely don't always get it right, but what I try to do is I try to pick a time to put it down for a little bit. Meaning, if I'm going to come home from work, I am going to say, okay, I'm going to decompress on my drive home from work. And when I get home, I'm going to take, if all I have that day is 1 hour of really great family time, because I can't find the perfect balance, then I am going to put my phone away. I'm going to put my laptop away and I'm going to spend an hour with my family, and I will be really clear with them. It's really important to me that I spend time with you guys. What do we want to do together for an hour? Do we want to cook together? Do we want to go to a playground? Do we want to play a game outside? And I just ask for what I can give in that moment, and I try to pick a time to put it down. I also really value my marriage because I can say to my husband, I am really overwhelmed and I'm going to keep feeling overwhelmed unless I can tackle this one big problem. Can you help me find an hour or two so I can get this work done so I can show back up again in our family? And that's a trade-off. He does that too in his job. He says, I can't give the time to the family right now. And so I think having that open line of communication is really helpful to pick the time to set it down and to figure out how we can get our work done.
I love that. It doesn't need to be perfect. And it seems like it's another challenge for me sometimes that you're great with your communication skills. You just gave examples of how you're communicating your expectations, what you can give to your family. You have 1 hour and I wanted this hour to be thoughtful and I want to be present for my husband, for my family, for my kids, and so forth. I'm going to bring you back a little bit. You mentioned at the beginning of our conversation that you manage a very large team. I find managing people extremely hard, extremely draining. It drains my soul, it drains my energy. It's very difficult and
Mhm.
it's not for everyone. You're a personable person, you're a people's person. But managing a large team, you have to have a special skill, a special trait. What do you think is your differential from other people managing a large team as well?
It's such a good question. And actually, in this moment of like AI and all of our worlds changing, I have thought a lot about what is the skill that is irreplaceable by a machine who arguably can think just as well as the rest of us. And I think what has helped me manage a large team is the ability to communicate. And a lot of times in corporate America and the more complex work that you're doing, it's about taking big, confusing, complicated things because people make things overly complicated oftentimes. And I think my skill is the ability to simplify and translate that to large groups of people. And that is my sweet spot is thinking about the other person. How could they receive this message? And I'm able to move through that pretty regularly in my job, whether that's a one on one conversation with my team, running my all hands with a couple hundred people, or presenting to the whole company, have 500 people. So
Were you always good communicating? Because as a friend, she's an amazing listener. And what I appreciate about you, and I'm always trying to learn to listen, trying to really process, and then responding.
mm,
Because I'm always on the go. I ask questions, I don't hear the answers because I'm already asking more questions. To get where you are, how did you develop this special skill? It's a special skill, it's not for everyone. Were you always like that?
mm.
How, if I want to be there, what do I have to do?
Well, one of the things I still work on trying to do all the time is to talk less and listen more, which can be really hard because we all have a ton of ideas and I'm a problem solver. So I love to like, how can we get to the end? How can we fix it? And oftentimes I'm too fast to do that. So the skill I'm still trying to work on, but I think has helped me, to your question, develop the ability to communicate is to try to listen more than I talk. And if I can do that, I can pay better attention to the person and oftentimes, it's not about what someone is directly telling you. It's the white space between what they're saying and their body that is the real answer. And I try to pay attention to what they're not saying as much as they are. And I can only do that if I really am focused. I remember at work in my early days, I would be on a video call and you're pretending to pay attention but you're also messaging people on the side, you're looking at your email, and that was such bad quality work. I never really listened. I never really understood what people were trying to say. And in my career, I found a lot of value of acknowledging that, yeah, I may not be able to get as much done as I wanted to. That means I have to prioritize my time differently. But if I'm going to be on a call, I better listen. And if I'm not going to listen, then maybe I don't need to be on the call or in the meeting or in the conversation. So I try to listen more than I talk.
That's lovely because I'm also having these conversations with myself. I don't know if I want to be the multitasker. I think I'm okay to say I want to one task at a time. I don't want to solve all the
Mhm.
problems. I want to have 24 hours to reply to that email that can be answered tomorrow, coming back to just do one task at a
Mhm.
time. And that to me goes against what we're living, the AI world, because AI is doing all the tasks in the world.
Mhm.
But I don't think we're wrong going
Mhm.
back to one task at a time,
Mhm.
being present at that meeting
Mhm.
instead of texting or chatting on the side.
Mhm.
And that goes back to being present with the family, what we just talked about, being present with our kids, participating, truly taking the time to listen to people. I'm working on that. I not even close, but I'm aware.
Yes, you are
I'm
close.
aware.
You
I'm
are
aware.
close. You're also a great listener
Thank
and
you.
friend.
No, I'm getting there. Do you
Yes.
see that? I just answered her. Nope. All right, I'm getting there. Thank you for sharing this component of your professional life. Now let's transition a little bit. Let's talk about yourself as a woman, yourself as Andrea, not as a professional person, not as a mom, not as a wife, just yourself. What do you do to bring yourself together for your mental health, for uplifting your spirits and making life a bit more light, if
Mm.
you will?
Mhm. That is such a complex question for me because it's such an evolution, and sometimes I really fail at connecting with myself and remembering that I'm at the center. And actually, I'm very thankful to you genuinely for you as my friend and the call movement because a year ago, I had spent years spending very little time on myself between work, but also there was a lot of dynamics happening in my family that were complicated, and we were moving, and our youngest was starting school, and there was just a lot going on. And I had just had so much residual stress building up, and there was just no time where I took to be quiet or to do something I really loved for myself or to move my body. And really, like a year ago, that totally transformed. And I attribute a huge part of that to you, who is the living embodiment of joy, which I so value. You are always striving to have fun and make the most of a moment. And I think you're very centered when you're in a place with people. And I truly aspire to do that. And so this year I was like, okay, one of my goals is to laugh more, which sounds so simple and silly. Like, don't you do that? But I didn't. So, what I've come to realize is that you have to find the moments for yourself. And the big thing your movement has taught me truly is that it's about consistency, not volume. And so, to the big conversation at the start about balancing our lives, you can't always find a perfect balance every week of like, I worked out enough times, I had enough quiet time, I did all the things. But every day, if you find time for yourself to walk for 10 minutes, to listen to something that makes you happy, whether it's music or a podcast, to read a book, to wake up 15 minutes earlier than your family and just have a moment, that has become time for me to reconnect with myself and really think what is going to bring me joy.
But it is a moment for ourselves. The way I envision and I think all the time is like you are in the airplane and the airplane is going down. And the first thing that they say is like, don't put the mask on your child. Put the mask on yourself because you're not going to be able to save your child if you don't have the mask. So sometimes people say I'm selfish for this mentality. I think about myself first, then comes my family, because if I'm not in my right mental state, I am not able to take care of my family. I'm not able to take care of my kids, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not able to take care of anyone around me. For this reason, I always gonna put myself first. That does not mean that at all times. It means like it's the 10 minutes, it's the 15 minutes I'm gonna get up early because I wanna quietness, I wanna be by myself, or I'm gonna find time for movement.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying movement is the anchor, and movement does help the mental health, does help with clarity. And that's why I say we women should always try to prioritize ourselves. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and that will help us to keep going with the day, especially if you can do that first thing in the morning. As you have mentioned, you try to get up earlier in the morning so you can have your 15 minutes and that cup of coffee just for yourself, or read something or listen to something. So we keep going with our day. I interviewed this person, Terry Fox, on my previous podcast, and she taught me something about you getting up early. Put your intentions out. Set your intentions how you wanted the day to be. And even if the day is not going the way you want it, take a time in the middle of your busy afternoon and it's a minute reset. The
Mm-hmm.
day is not going as planned, but I still have the time to change a little bit. So I can
So true.
totally relate to what you're mentioning here about prioritizing your mental health, and happy to hear that the call movement has helped you to keep moving your body. I clearly believe that if you move your body, if you elevate your heart a little bit, especially on those blue days, it's gonna make you feel better. I keep telling people, like, you're feeling a little the blues or depressed, go for a jog or something that's gonna make your heart pump
Mm-hmm.
throughout your whole body. That's gonna uplift you. There is nothing like exercise to set the tone of your mood.
It brings you back to yourself.
It brings
Yeah.
back to yourself, and then it's mental health, it's wellness, it's about you, because when you're doing your exercise, it's not your kids, it's not your husband, that's for you,
Mm.
and you feel damn great. Sorry, darn great.
It's true. What's that saying? Like there's never a workout when you finish that you regret. You might not want to do it when you go in and you say, I'm only going to do it for 10 minutes. Maybe it is, or maybe it's a half an hour, but you never
You
feel
feel good.
worse at the end.
The hardest part is showing up. Because
Absolutely.
once you start going, you so many times I'm like, I'm just gonna do a 10 minutes run. And it becomes a 20 minutes run because I'm like, oh, this feels good. And I know time can be a limit, but
Mm-hmm.
again, it's so important to find time for ourselves. And especially women like you who are always juggling between, you have a big job. You got to show up, you got to be present. You have a huge team. People are demanding from you. And if you're not in that mindset, you can speak about that. So if you don't find those 10, 15 minutes for yourself to bring yourself to your being, I don't know how you are able to function especially in the corporation world, which is very demanding.
It's true. You can't show up for your kids or your colleagues if you don't have the space to do that. And it's hard to have the space if you aren't taking care of yourself too. And that's a hard lesson to learn. And I think a lot of people who have in any sector who have, you know, a life with a lot of demands, that is the biggest lesson to learn. Like carve out the space. One of the things that the movement helped me with was thinking about even if you have a really busy day, walk up the 3 flights of stairs to the meeting. If that's all you do that day, sure. Was that your best movement day ever? No, but it was like gratitude for your body. It was a moment of clarity. Walking up the stairs lifts your heart rate, gets you out of your head for a moment, and you walk into the next conversation like a slightly better version of yourself, even with that one thing. Walk to get the cup of coffee in the morning. Don't take the cab ride, walk the 3 blocks, walk the 15 minutes. Those small things add up significantly, especially if you put a lot of pressure on yourself, which I think women do, to do it all perfectly.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to do it if I can't show up and do the 45-minute workout. Then what's the point?
No.
And we let ourselves down before we even try. It's just all the small things, they add up a lot.
Yeah, I don't like the pressure that we have to be perfect.
Hmm.
It's true, right? We have to be perfect in all sense. We have to be perfect wife, perfect for our families, perfect for our kids, perfect at work. Now we're getting older. We have to also exercise, and we also have to think about all these hormonal changes that's going to happen or it's happening. There is so much pressure. And on top of this, I don't know if you're on social media, but we get bombarded. We got to do this, we got to do that. And I think for what I'm trying to create with the call movement, which Andrea is part of it, she's part of the tryout. She's giving me the feedbacks. Is bringing people to the basics as we talk. The basics, I'm not multitasking. The basic is just move your body. It's consistency over perfection. It's
Hmm.
those days that I don't have 45 minutes to go to the gym, but I'm going to take the stairs. I'm going to park my car a little further so I can have a little bit of extra walk. And again, we need to be more kind to ourselves because these expectations that we are creating, that we have created, that society created for us, it's making us to paralyze. It's either you do 45 minutes or you don't do anything whatsoever. And we need to change the narrative.
Totally
And
agree.
you are the proof that just move, right? We just want women to move their body. And eventually you have that time. You're going to get into that ab roller because 4 is non-negotiable. But it's music to my ears to hear from you that now you are able to say, hey, I don't have 45 minutes, but I'm still moving one way or another. What are your major challenges for moving forward with a workout routine or those movements that we've been talking? Or for women who's just like, I just don't have the time.
Hmm.
What would you say to those women?
Oh my gosh, I just completely understand. That was me for huge chunks of my life where I did not have the time, is what I kept saying to myself, because time to me equated to I need to have 45 minutes. I have to run as fast as I can this day. I have to lift the heaviest weights today. I can't do the same workout for more than 6 weeks at a time. I need someone else to tell me what to do. Oh, I skipped a workout. Now I have to do a double workout. A lot of my own obstacles were sort of like perceiving movement as punishment. If I couldn't do it perfect, there was a punishment to myself. And the punishment would be double the workout, don't eat carbs the next day. You either do it perfect or you don't do it at all. And that became part of the excuse mechanism for me of I don't have time. When you do have time, and it's been so empowering to a way to rethink about moving your body and caring for yourself. And truly, since I've just started moving every day, some days are a lot of movement and a big exercise, I go for a long bike ride or I do one of your strength training sessions. Some days are just, I walk for 30 minutes after dinner when I'm traveling with my coworkers and I say, do we want to walk back instead of taking a cab? But just thinking about how I'm going to move every day helps me sleep better.
Mhm.
It helps me feel better. I really struggle with anxiety. It's been a huge unlock for me to really say, hey, when you feel your anxiety rising, that's a signal to you. You need to go take more time and space. And so it's not that I don't have the time, it's that you incorporate the movement into your life.
Oh my
Nothing
gosh.
changed in my time. I just incorporate it now. That's the
Mhm.
difference. And I don't have a punishing view anymore. I really don't feel anymore like I didn't work out. Now I have to punish myself tomorrow.
It's the narrative that we have been told over and over. This is gonna be so enlightening for so many women. There's so many Andreas out who had the same mentality. This is punishment. I haven't done. I'm gonna start over every Monday and changing that mindset. That's why we're interviewing you in this podcast because again, you don't need perfection. You just need that consistency. Whatever way it is you're consistent. If it's walking, if it's strength work, if it's bike riding, if someone who is listening to this podcast who is a full-time work over 40 hours 50 hours, have kids, have a very demanding lifestyle between kids, family, husband, and work, and keeps starting over every single Monday, or at this point doesn't even start over, is tired, what would you tell to this person?
I would say be kind to yourself. It's okay. And remember that you are in control of how you choose to show up,
Mm.
which we sometimes forget. And we let the world happen to us instead of moving in the world intentionally. So start small and work your way up. At work, I say we have to take a big rock. My former CEO taught me that. You have to take a big rock and you have to make it into small rocks, or take the small problems and work your way up to the big problems. And your life and learning to be in the driver's seat of that can use the same mentality. So start small and work your way up. The small moments matter. As I mentioned, even you said parking your car further away, take the stairs for work,
Mhm.
walk after dinner for 10 minutes, take time to meditate and breathe, and then work out a little bit longer if you can. Move your body in a slightly bigger, more intentional way. And every week you just work up a little bit more and your body rewards you. It says thank you. It says thank you by letting you sleep more soundly.
Mhm.
It says thank you by moving more easily. It says thank you by being stronger. It says thank you by giving you more confidence and you feel more worthy. It's an endless payback loop.
I love that. Don't be a victim of your choices.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you just said.
Yeah.
And I also love how you incorporate, you didn't say in these specific words, but it's progression. It's the same for someone who wants to start on strength workout right now. I'll never start you on I don't know what is your weight, but I'm never going to put you 120 pounds or 200 pounds. We're going to start progressing.
Mm.
So I also like that you said start with smaller goals. Why do we have to start with a 15 minutes workout session when we cannot even 5 minutes of our time? So that's perfect. Now, moving forward to some of your workout routine when you're working out, is there any specific workout that you really like that you see that I need this for the rest of my life? This is going to help me with my longevity, or any exercise that you like, this makes me truly feel good when I
Mm.
do this.
Hmm. I really, really have come to enjoy like having one leg day and one upper body day a week. I feel like that is where I see a ton of strength being built. And I think about longevity and mobility. And you said
Mhm,
the other day, what is everything you do in your life? It's basically a squat. You sit down, you stand up,
mhm.
you bend over. So I think that that has been incredibly important. And I think the other non-negotiable for me is walking, which sounds, I think that's another area where people totally underestimate the
Mhm.
value of that. But walking can bring clarity. It's moving your body. It's so helpful for your posture, for your core, for your cardiovascular. I'm not a big runner. So for me, that's like the sweet spot. So those things are, I think, non negotiables. And then I've had a 20-year practice that is sometimes really intense and 5 days a week. And sometimes it's once every 2 months, which is yoga. And for me, yoga is a good through line of when I need to calm down and slow down, when I need to think about my breath, when I need time to really get out of my head in a way a strength workout won't. And those are really helpful to me. And in the call movement, something I've enjoyed is that it's really approachable. Like you build in days for recovery. Some days it's just about stretching, which feels
Mhm.
so kind
Mhm.
to my body. So it's probably way too long winded, but it's all of those things, but it doesn't have to be all of them all the time.
And it doesn't need to be perfect. That's why I've been loving this podcast because there is always lessons learned for me. And our conversation here is just reassuring to me that going back to basics, it's a good thing. You don't need to do much. Going back to walk. When walk is not sexy anymore, taking 15 times and do nothing.
Mhm.
Just sit and enjoy your coffee to silence, to stillness. That's incredible. What I really like about our conversations, a reassuring of things that I've been listening to other people that I interviewed. Somehow it's time for us to go back to basics. Go back to your walk, go back to listen, go back to stillness, go back to meditating, go back and find ourselves, whatever does that mean? Because we're living in a world that it's very demanding. Everyone wants every single piece of us from work, from home, from our kids, attending events at schools, a text message, group text message. Everything's very overwhelming. And maybe I'm wrong and I'm being very speculative here. That's why we're constantly feeling overwhelmed and I can't take anymore. So I think the message has to be we need to move our body. We need to take care of ourselves first at all times, even if it means only 10 minutes, and stop seeking perfection. Just do consistent, consistent over perfection. I think that's the message that I'm getting from you.
Yes.
And do you have anything else to add into this conversation?
Nothing. Just thank you for starting this movement genuinely. It's been the best.
You're amazing.
It's made such a positive impact on my life, and I'm not
I
just telling you that.
I am I wouldn't have done this without you because when
So
I started this idea, I shared with Andrea and I was sitting on her table. We were having a glass of wine.
So thank you. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next episode.